I'm Peter Anthony Holder, host of the Stuff File program, and you're listening to True Talk Radio, the only place to be.
Welcome to the Howie Silbiger Show on the True Talk Radio Network. Get in on the conversation. Call 1-877-669-1292.
And I'm Howie Silbiger. Welcome to the program. This is the Howie Silbiger Show right here on the True Talk Radio Network. Thank you for tuning in. Those of you listening on the True Talk Radio Network app, those of you listening on Stitcher, those of you listening on Spotify, those of you watching on YouTube, on Facebook, on Periscope, or on the True Talk Radio website, www.truetalkradio.com. Welcome to the Howie Silbiger Show. The show is live, which means that you could call in. The numbers to call, 1-877-669-1292. That's 1-877-669-1292. You could also comment on the video airing on Facebook, on either the Howie Silbiger page on Facebook or the Howie Silbiger Show page on Facebook, or you could comment on YouTube. Don't forget to hit like when you watch the show. Today was a day. It was a weird day. It was a day of two dawns. And both dawns are facing similar circumstances. Although they're very different, they're very much the same. Don Cherry, who was a sports commentator, a former coach, a former National Hockey League coach, and a sports commentator on Hockey Night in Canada for the last 35 years, was fired this week. Why was he fired? Because he gave immigrants heck for not wearing poppies to commemorate soldiers. He said that in his neighborhood he walked around and you people, meaning you immigrants, did not wear poppies. You aren't wearing poppies. And you have to support the soldiers, and you have to wear poppies in memory of the soldiers, and you were not wearing poppies. Of course, the lefties all flipped out. Oh my gosh, how could he dare him say stuff about immigrants? Holy cow. And Rogers Sportsnet, the company that airs Hockey Night in Canada, decided to bow to the pressure of the progressives and fired Don Cherry after 35 years on Hockey Night in Canada. Now, I will confess, I am not a hockey fan. I have never watched hockey. I'm absolutely not a sports fan at all. So I will confess that that Don Cherry means very little to me. As a person, he means very little to me. As a commentator, he means very little to me. As a person, he means a lot to me because all people mean a lot to me. But as a commentator, he means very little to me because I do not watch hockey, nor do I watch any sport. So I've never seen his commentaries, or if I have, I mean, it was years ago and very sparingly. So I'm not going to miss Don Cherry as an announcer. But what gets me on this whole thing is the idea that if you disagree with something a progressive says, or you say something contrary to something a progressive or a lefty will say, then you deserve to lose your job. This is what really gets me, because this happens a lot. If you stand up to the lefties and you say something contrary to what political correctness today would dictate, then you will lose your job no matter how long you've been on your job, at your job. But only if you are a conservative or if you hold a position that is quote-unquote abhorrent to lefties. If you happen to be a lefty yourself, if you happen to be a left-winger, and you do something or say something that would get a normal person fired, you generally get a pass. Now, I wrote a long piece about this. I posted it on Facebook yesterday. You could check it out on my Facebook page, on the Howie Silbiger page on Facebook. Everything there is public, so you could go there and you could check it out. If you don't want to become friends with me, just go and check it out. I wrote a long piece on this, pointing out that TV stars like Ted Danson went to big public events in blackface and was able to continue on their hit shows. But a Trump supporter like Roseanne Barr tweeted one tweet at 3 o'clock in the morning and then deleted it at 7 o'clock in the morning, and not only lost her show, but lost any opportunity to ever work in Hollywood again. And the tweet was actually cryptic. It wasn't even clear from the tweet on who she was talking about. So here you have the two ends of the spectrum. You have one guy who wore blackface, and people get roasted for doing a lot less. I mean, think about Michael Richards, the guy who played Kramer on Seinfeld. He got roasted for reacting to hecklers in a comedy club. A comedy club where you're supposed to be able to say anything you want. He went on a racist rampage, as they call it. And he went and he apologized for it. And yet his career was ended at that point. They called him a racist and said, that's it, you're done. He had no chance of redemption. None at all. He wasn't given that opportunity. But Ted Danson refused to apologize. He did not apologize. In fact, the only people who apologized were the Friar Club, who invited him. And they apologized, but he never apologized. And he starred in 2 more hit comedy series on television. Just take a look at the case of Jussie Smollett. He was on that HBO show Empire. And Jussie decided that he wanted a larger salary. So what's the best way to get a larger salary? To become a victim. Because victimhood pays today. And people love victims and they love victimhood. So Jussie Smollett decided to become a victim. So he hired a bunch of guys to go and pretend to beat him up. So he could call it a hate crime. And then try to embarrass HBO or try to guilt HBO into giving him a raise. Well, the whole thing backfired, and it was discovered that he filed a false police report, that he made the whole thing up, that the whole thing was faked. And what was Jussie Smollett's punishment? Oh, you guessed it. He was suspended from his show. The show was eventually canceled, but it wasn't canceled because of Jussie Smollett. He was suspended from the show for a season. What? Roseanne Barr tweets out a cryptic message? Just something cryptic that people interpreted and then decided she was a racist. She was fired from her show 3 hours later. But it was proven that this guy faked a hate crime. And he was allowed to keep his show? He was allowed to stay on it and continue getting paid? The hypocrisy is unbelievable. And that's why I care about the Don Cherry story. I care about it because this is political correctness running amok. This is political correctness running crazy. You know, I made this argument 25 years ago. On my radio show 25 years ago, I made the same argument. And when Dr. Laura Schlesinger, maybe it was a little less than 25 years ago, when Dr. Laura Schlesinger, on her radio show, on her syndicated radio show, I know this is not the case that you've all heard about where she told, where she said the N-word. No, not talking about that. About 25 years ago, Dr. Laura Schlesinger decided that she was answering a caller, and the caller asked her about homosexuality. And Dr. Schlesinger said, wait, that homosexuality, she said, was a biological error. That people were genetically designed to be attracted to the opposite sex. And if you weren't attracted to the opposite sex, and you were attracted to the same sex, to a same sex, then you were biologically, there was a biological error. That something happened biologically that caused you to be attracted to the same sex person. the homosexual community freaked out. They absolutely had a conniption fit, even though she was kind of agreeing with what they argue all the time, that homosexuality is not a choice. She was agreeing with that. She was saying, well, no, it's not a choice. It's biological, and there's a problem biologically to cause this. I mean, this is not the norm of humanity. So there was a biological error. This is what she was arguing. But they freaked out because they didn't like Dr. Laura to start with. Anyone who pushes morality in this world, anybody who stands up for moral values and for family values, and who says family is important and fathers are important, and it's anyone who says any of that kind of stuff is the enemy of many of the left. So they forced CBS to cancel Dr. Laura's TV show. And then they pushed the Mutual Broadcasting Network, who carried Dr. Laura's syndicated radio show, to cancel Dr. Laura. They didn't cancel her. And she continued on until another incident forced her to leave the Mutual Radio Broadcasting Network and go to satellite radio, where she now resides. But that's not the point. The point is that the lefties went after her and got her TV show canceled. And when I wrote an opinion piece, I was a staff reporter for a newspaper at the time, and I wrote an opinion piece saying, "Hey, listen, if you don't agree with Dr. Laura, that's your prerogative. You don't have to agree with everything said on the radio. You don't have to agree with every radio host. But that doesn't give you the right to take that person's livelihood away. That doesn't give you the right to destroy that person or to go after that person personally or professionally." All these radio show hosts, including myself, and I've been attacked quite a few times by the left. Many radio show hosts have open lines. I have open lines. You'll see the number scrolling on the bottom of the screen if you're watching. And if not, I'll give you the number. It's 1-877-669-1292. That's 1-877-669-1292. I have open lines. If you don't like something I say, then you have the opportunity to call into the show and discuss it with me. And I take every call, and I don't care what you have to say. Well, I care what you have to say. I don't care what you have to say, meaning that you could say anything you want on my show. There are no limits to what you could say on this show. I never stop anybody from expressing their opinion as long as it's family friendly. I don't stop anybody from expressing their opinion. So you can't call this show and start cursing me. Can't call the show and start using foul language. That's unacceptable. But if you want to call and have a rational discussion with me over something I said, I'll leave you on for a long time and we could talk it out. And most radio show hosts are like that. So advocating for the cancellation of a show, which happened to me at least 15 times during my radio career, advocating for the destruction of somebody's life and somebody's livelihood is just wrong. In my opinion, it's 100% wrong. So Don Cherry refused to apologize, much like Ted Danson refused to apologize for wearing blackface, much like the Prime Minister of Canada, who wore blackface, gave a half-hearted apology for wearing the blackface. Don Cherry refused to apologize. He said, "No, I stand behind what I said." He said, "If you are going to live in this country, you have to appreciate the people who sacrificed their lives to allow you to live in this country, to allow you to live the way you live. So I'm not backing down." That's what Don Cherry said. "I'm not backing down." You have to admire a guy like that. So they fired him. And he said, "Fine, that's what it is. That's what it is." 35 years he was on that job. Which brings us to the second Don, the President of the United States, Donald Trump. The second Don of the day. So the impeachment hearings for Donald Trump are starting this week. This impeachment, in my opinion, I've talked about this on the show before, and I've written extensively about this. In my opinion, this impeachment is a farce. It's a political ploy to destroy Donald Trump before the next election. Al Green, who is a congressman, a Democratic congressman, made it very clear 3 months ago when he stated, and this is what he said, and there's tape of him saying it. You can look it up on YouTube. It's there. Al Green, this is what he said. He said, we have to impeach this president because if we don't impeach this president, he's going to win the election. And that's the whole goal here. The whole goal of this entire situation is to impeach the president so that he doesn't win the next election. So this political ploy, it's gone a little too far. And now they're starting official impeachment inquiries. So my prediction, and I made this prediction online last week, and I will make it again right here on the show. My prediction is that Donald Trump will get impeached by Congress, the democratically led Congress, and then he will be vindicated by the Senate. He will not be impeached by the Senate. He will not be removed from office, and he will win the next election. This is my prediction. This is much the same way that Bill Clinton's impeachment went, but Bill Clinton actually had a crime that he had committed. Donald Trump, it's not so clear that there was a crime, but Bill Clinton had a crime that he committed, and he lied to Congress, which is a felony, and so his impeachment was actually legitimate. So I'm looking forward to watching at least parts of the impeachment inquiry. I love watching political stuff on television, so I'm looking forward to seeing at least part of the impeachment inquiry. I'm looking forward to seeing how this all is going to end. But take dollars to donuts, and I'll bet you dollars to donuts that this ends exactly the way it starts, with a fizzle, not a bang. I'm Howie Silbiger. This is the Howie Silbiger Show. We're heard live right here on True Talk Radio on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. If you stay tuned after the show, we end the show at 11 o'clock, and then exactly 1 hour later at midnight, I am back again, and I'll be live streaming again on Israel News Talk Radio, but you can watch it and listen to it in the same way you're listening to this show now, because it'll air on everything. I do Political Hitman for an hour at midnight. So if you're enjoying this show and you want to hear more of me, and you want to see more of me, feel free to join me for Political Hitman at midnight right here on this channel. Now, I invite you to call in. Number to call, 1-877-669-1292. That's 1-877-669-1292. We're going to take a little break. Now, those of you watching on Facebook and on YouTube and on Periscope and on the Howie Silbiger on the Howie Silbiger Show page on Facebook and on True Talk Radio, those of you watching the video version of the show, when we go to break, you're going to see a black screen. It's going to say we're on commercial break. The show continues just a few minutes. You won't hear anything, so don't adjust your computers. You won't hear anything. I play music during my breaks, and in each of these services, although I have permission to play all the music that I play, and it should be no issue with copyrights, all these services have 100,000 different papers that you have to fill out in order to ensure that you're respecting copyrights. And so if I play this music without filling out the paperwork, they are going to mute the rest of the show. So I'm not going to play the music on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. I won't play the music, but you will see a page that says we are on commercial break. The show continues in just a few minutes. Stick around because we will be back. I'm Howie Silbiger. This is the Howie Silbiger Show right here on the True Talk Radio Network. We'll be back right after this.
listening to the Howie Silbiger Show on the True Talk Radio Network. Talk to Howie. Call 1-877-669-1292.
And welcome back to the Howie Silbiger Show right here on the True Talk Radio Network. We are live streaming on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. We are live streaming. We are live streaming on the True Talk Radio website. So plenty of places you could go and watch the Howie Silbiger Show. Plus, you can also listen to it on the True Talk Radio Network app, available at your favorite app store, either the Apple Store or the Android Store. It's available everywhere. And of course, you could always podcast the show. So if you prefer that, and you prefer to podcast, you can always podcast the show through iTunes or through your Android store, through the Google Store. It's always possible too, or your favorite podcasting services. I think we're podcasted on like 100 different services. And of course, the show is always available on demand through TrueTalkRadio.com. And if you stick around at midnight tonight, I will be doing another show right here on this channel. I'll be doing another show called Political Hitman. It's on Israel News Talk Radio in Israel. That's coming up at midnight tonight. I'm Howie Silbiger. It's the Howie Silbiger Show right here on True Talk Radio. Numbers to call if you want to get in on the conversation. Give me a call, 1-877-669-1292. That's 1-877-669-1292. That's the number to call to get in on the conversation here on the Howie Silbiger Show. So just a couple of days ago, I got an email, and I wanted to share it on Sunday's show, but I held off till today. The email said to me, I'm not going to read it to you because it was pretty nasty, so I'm not going to read you the nasty email. But the email basically called me a fundamentalist. Said that I am akin to ISIS, I'm akin to the Taliban, and I'm akin to Hamas and Hezbollah. This is what the email told me. That there's really no difference about what I say on the show and what Hezbollah and Hamas and Islamic Jihad promote. Just in the opposite direction. I read the email, and I usually take these emails. I get a lot of these. I usually take these emails with a little bit of grain of salt because people who send you emails like that, how seriously could you really take them? Honestly, like, how seriously could you take them? And I don't take it very seriously. So I read the emails. I read everything that's sent to me. I read all my emails. But the ones that call me these names, I don't take overly seriously. And this one here was kind of weird because it said, Howie, we're going to pressure True Talk Radio to take you off the air. This is what the email said. We're going to pressure True Talk Radio to take you off the air. We've already been in contact with the administration of True Talk Radio, and we've already spoken to them about our concerns about your show. And we are going to convince True Talk Radio to remove your show from all its platforms. And I said, interesting. It's interesting for two reasons. Reason number one that it's interesting is that I own True Talk Radio, and I make all the programming decisions on what goes onto the platforms. So I don't know who they were talking to. It definitely wasn't me, and I definitely did not agree that I was going to remove myself from the platform. So I'm not sure who they were talking to. And secondly, once again, this is political correctness run amok. People who don't agree with things I say, who want to remove me from my show. The letter went on, it continued. I mean, this email was pretty long, and it was pretty stupid. The email continued with, we are also encouraging True Talk Radio to stop paying you, and we're going to encourage your advertisers to stop advertising on your show. I said, all right, no problem. I've been doing this show for 26 years. 26 straight years. We've been doing this show. It wasn't always called the Howie Silbiger Show. It was called something else, and it evolved. But for 26 years, I did the show on the internet. Then I did it on AM radio. Now I'm back on the internet. Now we're on. Now we're live streaming video. So I've been doing this 26 years straight. And before that, before the Howie Silbiger show, this show that I'm doing here, I did another show before this one. And so I've been on the radio for more than half my life. I've been doing these kind of shows for more than half my life. And in all the times that I've been doing this show, I have never taken a salary. Not even a penny. And in all the times I've done this show, in fact, this show cost me money. It cost me money to do the show. That's fine. I don't mind paying it because I enjoy doing the show and I enjoy the feedback I get and I enjoy talking and I like the fact that you guys you are part of the show and part of the experience. It's good. So I don't get paid for doing this. In fact, it costs me money every week to do this. It costs me money to run the station. And I have no advertisers. So if you want to go and convince my advertisers to stop advertising, and you want to convince the management of this show to take me off the air, feel free. I won't stand in your way. In fact, I'll give you the numbers right now. You see the wall right behind me, right over here, the wall right there. See that wall? There's a list of all the phone numbers of all the advertisers and the management on that wall. Yeah. You could just write them down. They're right there under the True Talk Radio logo on that wall. They're all written right there. So this is the kind of ridiculousness that happens, but it happens around the world. I mean, you look at Fox News, you look at some of the other conservative websites, and you see that the same stuff happens. They get the same kind of letters telling them that people are going to advocate to get their advertisers to stop advertising and throw them off the air. The same leftist organizations that claim to promote human rights and human values just actually try to take them away from you. They work hard to remove them from you. They work hard to remove dissenting voices or voices that are contrary. And I wouldn't even say dissenting. Voices that are contrary to what they believe in. They work very hard to remove them. And to me, that's very sad. It's very sad that you can't have a political conversation today. It's very sad that you can't talk to a friend. You can't have friends that have differing opinions. I mean, I've always had friends that didn't agree with me politically and never agreed with me politically. And in fact, they were abhorred by my politics. And they remain my friends. And they remain my friends because there's more to life than politics. We didn't have to talk about politics. So this is my rant on political correctness. I think it's destroying the world. We got a comment on the Howie Silbiger show live stream on Facebook on the Howie Silbiger page. On the live stream, the comment was, "Do you think Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide?" Now, this is a tough question. I like this question because it's a tough question. I like to answer this question because it fits right into the topic we're talking about. Jeffrey Epstein was a notorious child molester. He was convicted of child molestation, and then he had an island where he would import children, young children, for his own sexual pleasure and for the sexual pleasure of his buddies. And he would fly people to his island to engage in sexual relations with children. This was a known fact amongst the leftist community. A known fact. And they didn't do anything about it. Now, Epstein had a list. He had a book which had a list of left-wing politicians and famous left-wing celebrities that visited his island. He kept logs about who was there. He had to, because he flew them there, and he flew them on a private jet that was named Lolita. Now, for those of you who don't know what Lolita was, it's a book about a child molester who molests a young girl. So he named his boat Lolita, and he flew his guests. Now, the FCC, the Federal Aviation Authority, the FAA, sorry. Now, the FAA insists that you have to keep a log of everybody who's on a airplane in the United States. When they fly an airplane, you have to have a manifest. So Jeffrey Epstein kept a manifest of all the child molesting lefties that came to his island. He had a list of them all, and he was going to make a deal to reveal these names, according to a lot of reports that you'll read. He was going to make a deal to testify in court to try to get a lighter sentence for himself, and he died in prison before he had a chance to. It's no great loss to the world. It's a shame that this guy existed to start with. It's a scandalous that this guy existed to start with. But it's no great loss that he's gone. The only great loss is that he didn't reveal the names of the people whom he knew molested children. Because everybody should be held accountable for that crime. Nobody should be able to get away with that. Which is why I'm extremely angry, and I've been extremely angry at Corey Feldman for years. Corey Haim too, but more Corey Feldman than Corey Haim. I've been extremely angry at these guys for years. In fact, I've had numerous conversations with Corey Feldman about this, that he should just reveal who molested him. He claims he was molested as a kid. He should just reveal it. He should charge these people. He should go after these people. Sue them civilly. I mean, if you could prove it, sue them. Go after them. But he didn't. So did Jeffrey Epstein commit suicide? Probably not. The coroner claimed he did, the New York State coroner, but the forensic coroner that looked at the file afterwards said there's no way he committed suicide. So probably not, but that's not unusual. It's not unusual when you have a case, when you have people who commit these kind of heinous crimes and they go to prison. It's not unusual for them to be murdered. It's not unusual for the prison to claim it was suicide. I just go back, and he didn't commit a heinous crime, but I just go back to the case of Irv Rubin, the chairman of the Jewish Defense League, who was set up by the FBI in a sting operation where an FBI agent convinced him to attack a mosque, to blow up a mosque, and then delivered the bombs to him. And when he went to meet the FBI agent who had the bombs, they arrested him for wanting to blow up a mosque. And he went to prison. And he was being held without bail in a maximum security prison. Maximum security. And the day he was going to trial, and he always professed his innocence. From day one, he said, "I'm innocent, this was a setup, and I'm going to prove myself in court." This was his mantra from day one. And then when he got close to the court date, like the day of, that morning, he put on his suit. He went and he was shaving. And according to official prison reports, Irv Rubin then used a safety razor and slit his throat. And then as he was bleeding profusely from a slit throat with a safety razor, and I remind you that safety razors are designed so that you can't slice yourself. But apparently he sliced himself with a safety razor. And after he did that, he ran, bleeding profusely, ran from his cell to the railing of the second floor of the he was on the second floor of the prison. He ran from his cell to the railing and then flung himself backwards over the railing and landed on his back on the bottom of on the floor, dead. So apparently that was suicide too. That was real suicide. Coincidentally, for Irv Rubin, the cameras. Oh, wait a second, that was for Epstein too. Huh? The similarities are amazing. Coincidentally, the cameras in that area of the prison were malfunctioning that day, and the guards were busy doing something else. Now, Epstein, they were sleeping. Irv Rubin, they were busy taking care of something else. And nobody really saw what happened, but all the evidence pointed to him using a safety razor to slit his throat and throw himself over the railing. So the cases of people being murdered in prison and the prisons covering up these kind of murders is not necessarily a new concept. And I would think that that this is actually an old concept. That this is actually that this is actually a way that the prisons use to clean up the trash that are in there, or at least what they consider the trash. It's unfortunate that people like Irv Rubin, who spent his entire life trying to defend Jews. I knew Irv pretty well, and he spent his entire life caring about and trying to defend Jews. It's a shame he ended that way. His son committed suicide not long after. It was just tragedy after tragedy for the Rubin family. It all started with the arrest and the setup and the arrest of Irv Rubin. It's very sad. 1-877-669-1292 is the number to call. 1-877-669-1292. If you want to get on the conversation, it's a toll-free number. You could call it from anywhere you could make a North American call. You could use that 1-800 number. I will pay for the call if you want to call in. 1-877-669-1292. So I hope that answered the question. Do you think Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide? You can also post questions on Facebook or on YouTube. I'm monitoring all the feeds on Facebook and the feed on YouTube. So if you want to post questions on the feed on Facebook or the feed on YouTube, you can feel free to do that too. But I much prefer, it's talk radio, I'd much prefer you to call in, because it's much more fun to talk to you than to read your words. 1-877-669-1292 is the number to call. That's 1-877-669-1292. I'm Howie Silbiger. This is the Howie Silbiger Show on the True Talk Radio Network. We are going to take a little break. When we come back, Howie Silbiger Show continues right here on TrueTalkRadio.com.
Howie Silbiger Show on the True Talk Radio Network. Call 1-877-669-1292.
And welcome back to the Howie Silbiger Show. My name is Howie Silbiger, and we are live right here on TrueTalkRadio.com. Number to call, 1-877-669-1292. That's 1-877-669-1292 to get in on the conversation. We are live every Sunday night, 8 to 9 p.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 11 p.m., and on Tuesdays we have an extra show at midnight, Political Hitman, which airs also on Israel News Talk Radio. So plenty of time and plenty of opportunity for you to be part of the Howie Silbiger Show experience. We also live stream the show, so you could watch the video of the show on Facebook, on Twitter, on Periscope, on YouTube, on the Howie Silbiger Show page on Facebook, and on the True Talk Radio website. We're live streamed everywhere. So you can feel free to do that, to watch the live stream, to listen to the show by downloading the True Talk Radio network app off your favorite app store, or listening on demand through TrueTalkRadio.com. So Israel's under attack. I will be talking more about this on Political Hitman after midnight. Israel's under attack. 200 rockets, over 200 rockets were launched into Israel today. The Israeli army responded today. They killed at least 5 Islamic Jihad leaders. At least 5 of them were killed. They weren't murdered. They were killed by the Israeli army. They were taken out. They were snuffed out, which is what you should do to all terrorists. It is time, I think, for Israel to rid themselves of this problem. They've, in 2006, so 2006 was what? It was 13 years ago. Israel pulled out unilaterally of the Gaza Strip. They pulled out every man, woman, child, every Jew, every dead Jew, every Jewish bone, every vestige of Judaism was pulled out of the Gaza Strip in 2006. And since then, the Arab population there, instead of saying, hey, now we have land to build our state of Palestine, let's build it. Let's show the world that we could be Palestinians, that the Palestinians could run a country. Instead of doing that, they used the old settlements, the old Israeli settlements in Gaza, as a training ground for their terror organizations. And then they used the old synagogues. This is how they started launching missiles into Israel. They used the old synagogues in the old settlements, because the synagogues were the only buildings that the Israelis didn't pull down. They used the buildings of the old synagogues, which they burned down, as launching pads for their missiles to fly into Israel to try to kill Jews. And so this is the genesis of it. In 2006, the Israelis' withdrawal from Gaza. Now, I'm not saying that it was a bad idea for Israel to withdraw from Gaza when they did. It was probably politically smart to do it at the time. But I am saying that politically and morally, it was corrupt to allow missiles to fall on the heads of Israelis for so many years. It's 13 years now. There are children living in the southern Israel who don't know life without missiles, sirens, and bomb shelters. There are people living in Israel, in southern Israel, who are too young to remember a time where they were able to live in peace. A government, and I know Israel's gone to elections twice and it looks like they're going a third time, but a government's job is to ensure the safety of their population. Government's job is to ensure the safety of their citizenship. Failing to do so, they've failed as a government. Benjamin Netanyahu has been prime minister almost the entire time that missiles have been flying from Gaza into Israel. It's just a few years a few years between Ariel Sharon and Bibi Netanyahu taking over as prime minister. In all the years that Sharon was prime minister, now I'm also going to blame Ehud Olmert, who was also prime minister, who did nothing to stop the Gazan missiles flying. But Netanyahu was prime minister a lot longer than Olmert was. And he's done nothing, almost nothing, to stop the missiles. Now, Israel claims to be the strongest country in the region. They claim to have the most amount of armaments. They claim to be able to destroy any country they want as quickly as they can, as quickly as they want. They're not afraid of anyone, they say. Except for the Gazans, apparently. They know that if they attack Gaza and they recapture Gaza, which they could do in 3 hours, that the world will come down on them and the world will not appreciate it. But I don't know if Israel should really care about what the world thinks anymore. I'm really not sure that Israel should care about what the UN is going to say when they go into a land that is launching missiles into their civilian populations. The UN has been conspicuously quiet regarding the danger to Jewish life for the last 13 years. The UN has not condemned these missile launches, which is scandalous in itself. So the UN has not cared about Jewish life because Jewish life in the UN is cheap. So the only people who care about Jewish life and the only people who are obligated to save Jewish life is the Israeli government. And failing to do so, as they are, failing to take any action against the Gazans. Now, I know today they killed a bunch of Islamic Jihad leaders, but it's not enough. They have to dismantle these bombing centers, they have to get rid of these missiles, and they have to ensure that the southern border is in peace again. The only way to do that is to have troops on the ground. They have no choice but to recapture Gaza. And nobody really wants to do that, because nobody wants all these Arabs under their control. That's why Jordan didn't want to take Gaza back when Israel tried to give it to them. That's why Egypt has never taken over Gaza, because nobody wants 1.5 million Arabs under their control, 1.5 million Hamas supporting Arabs under their control. But I don't think Israel has much of a choice. I think it's their obligation to protect and save their population, and 13 years is being patient enough. It's time to take action. So there's two options. They could go in there and put ground troops in there and take over Gaza again and recapture Gaza. Or they could carpet bomb Gaza and flatten it. Just flatten the entire area. But I wouldn't advocate that because I'm not into genocide. I don't think killing everybody in Gaza is the solution. I do think that military occupation might be the solution, just to give a reprieve to the southern cities. Have been bombarded for 13 years. It's sick. So something's got to happen. Something's got to give, and it's up to the Israeli government to do something to protect their citizens. I'm Howie Silbiger. This is the Howie Silbiger Show. We are heard live every Sunday night from 8 to 9 p.m., every Tuesday and Thursday nights from 10 to 11 p.m., right here on True Talk Radio. I invite you to stick around tonight, because in exactly 1 hour, I will be on again with Political Hitman on Israel News Talk Radio. We do the morning show in Israel, and we'll do Political Hitman on Israel News Talk Radio. Will be on this station right now, however you're listening, or however you're watching. We'll be on again in an hour. Howie Silbiger, this is the Howie Silbiger Show, right here on the True Talk Radio Network. I will see you again. On Thursday. Have a great evening. And we'll see you on Thursday, because Thursday is the next time we will be on.